Yeah, yeah. What's happening, everybody? Hold on, give your boy a minute. Give un burrito un momento. Give your boyrito, yeah. El Givico, your boyrito. Oh yeah, Instagram's pretty far behind. I was gonna look at it before I said your boyrito because I like that. I think that's hilarious. That seems like a great name for like a gang or something. The boyritos, something like that. So I got the song stuck in my head, stuck in my head, stuck in my head. Whoa, everything but love. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's happening, everybody? Messages like you. Okay, sorry. My old phone sends me 1,000 notifications once I turn it join on. What's happening, everybody? It's your boy, Hannibal Callens. That's right. It's... Okay, sorry, I thought I heard something. Anyway, has it been a minute? Yes. Oh, okay, I can't hear my old phone. Dang, I'm turning that all the way down. I'm about to go lay down. I'm about to go lay down. Okay. Oh, it must be the monitor. On my monitor, I look way more white and blown out and ashy than I do on my old phone. So I'm guessing it must be this monitor. Oh. No way you crisping up. I ain't even playing the game. Guys. Alrighty, I am super excited, super thankful to have y'all back here up in this club. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. What are we gonna do, huh? If you're in here, no matter where you're from, say a little something. Give me a hey, give me a what's up, give me a yurt. Quick. Now, I'm going to try to go out and do some comedy tonight. One of the open mics that I thought was on Thursdays got moved to Wednesdays, so now I'm like, no, it should have been me. That didn't fit there, but I thought it was funny. Anyway, the point is, we're going to make some stuff quick. I got like one topic I really, really want to yap about because I really want to cut it up into a YouTube video. It's based off some YouTube unemployed internet drama that happened like last week and like the week before, and I'm trying to, which is why I'm super thankful to all you guys. I'm trying to get more comfortable doing like these yaps because I kind of want to get to a point where I'm able to develop a system so I can yap about these topics like when they happen. Because there've been a few instances that have taken place that I've really wanted to jump on and talk about. One of them we're going to talk about today. Because I'm going to cut it down, I'm streaming later than I wanted to. I really only have about 30 minutes that I can stream without being like, I should have left earlier to get to this mic. Try to turn the gain up. Yeah. Okay, because I'm going to be back here a lot. I want to make sure y'all can still hear your boy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. Anyway, then I do have a concept for a joke that I want us to work on. We're going to work on that today just a little bit at the end, just so y'all hear the bit, and then I hear it outside of my head. If I go out to some open mics tonight, I actually think I might maybe try it on stage. It's going to be an experimental piece, but it's the type of stuff I actually really want to do more of. So that, y'all can't see my whiteboard, but it's right here. Y'all don't need to see it today. First and foremost, what are we going on about? Guess what, guys? Upcoming shows. I am going to be headlining at a place called Scale and Feather in Avondale, Arizona. That is on July 31st. I'm going to be headlining that. I'm super excited. Haven't headlined something in a while, so I'm excited to get to do that again. It's going to be great. We got some other great comedians on the lineup as well, so it's going to be an awesome show. And I'm really excited. I am re-upping on my shirts. So by the time we get there, Scale and Feather on the 31st, I'm going to be rolling in the deep. Rolling in the deep. On my t-shirts. And all I'm going to tell y'all, times is tough. So I'm gonna be moving that work. I'm gonna be moving that work. I'm excited to headline there. Then, that's on the 31st. On August 7th and 8th, I got into the Shelter Cove Comedy Festival, which is in Shelter Cove, California. That's the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th. Excuse me. Plus, a buddy of mine from high school who started doing comedy, he got into it as well. So I'm gonna be flying to San Francisco and riding up there with him, for that comedy festival that weekend. That's gonna be awesome. Then I'm back in the Funniest Comedian in the Valley competition. That is on August. That's on August 12th. So guess what? We finna get back in the lab working on that, John. We finna get back in the lab because this might be the semifinals, I think, coming up. Hold on. So, sorry about that. Little brother asking me a question. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Funniest Comedian in the Valley is coming up again. So, we're going to be back in the lab like we was. We're going to be in that joint. Ding, ding, hood, ding, ding. I think on August 5th, we're doing 5-minute sets. We're doing 5. Y'all already know how we do it. We shoot for 4:30, so we got 60 seconds of wiggle room. So we got 30 seconds of laugh time. Right? That's how we're going to do it. Get ready for that, but we're not worrying about that today. Yep, told y'all the shows I got coming up. Those 3. And then I'll hopefully be adding in some headlining dates soon as well. I got to make some phone calls. I got to reach out to some people. I got to, please, give me stage time, please. I got to, do a little bit of that. Plus, I was trying to get, I was working on some stuff with my work. And, so I have some time filled, opening up here down the way. So it's going to be pretty neat. But, alrighty. Now, I'm going to preface this with this. This next chunk of yap might sound weird if you show up in the middle of it. That is because I am pretty much intentionally doing this next part because I want to cut it into a YouTube video. Alright? So this might be, it's not scripted. It should be. I should have wrote a script. But I am gonna freestyle, and you guys say something if you in here. Plus, if you're here, say yeah, say what's up, so I know I got people watching, so I don't feel like a nut job. But also, throw your 2 cents in, but stick with me because we about to take off on this topic. Okay. This is going to be awkward. But I also, like I said, I appreciate you guys being here because this is almost damn near the whole point of me doing this. Like, a big part of the point is so I can get used to yapping about stuff like this in this format. So, okay. This is why you do a script too. I don't know how to. This is why you make a script because I'm not even 100% sure how to kind of get into this subject, and maybe I can script this later. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to figure out how I dive into this topic. especially because I realize that the people that follow me might not be caught up on the internet drama that I am. I dropped that video talking about Johnny Somali. I gave a little bit of a rundown, which I'm gonna do here too. I'm just realizing that my fan, my actual followers might not be so chronically online. So anyway, okay. I want to make sure I'm kind of in the middle-ish on both. Cool. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah. Hold on. Let me lower the gain. Lower the gain. Okay, so guys, here's the thing. Sorry, I'm just looking at the levels because I don't want them to get too low. I want them to try and land in the yellow, I think. Anyway, okay, here we go. That'll work. Okay, so. What was that, about a week? Okay. Okay. Here we go. There's an interesting trend happening on the internet, especially in YouTube, and it just had a really weird shift in it. So, okay. Let me catch y'all up on some weird news that happened in the world of the unemployed. There was a YouTuber years ago. His name was Technoblade. You guys might not be familiar with him. And I actually started seeing his videos just before he had passed away. Technoblade was one of the biggest YouTubers, especially in the space of Minecraft creators and Minecraft videos. He blew up, and he was a super big deal. It was also a really positive figure, if I'm remembering correctly. And so what had happened was, this is what was, okay. Technoblade was a huge YouTuber, especially in the Minecraft space. He was one of the biggest in the whole game. He passed away about 4 years ago. I think he had a battle with cancer that he had his family let his fans know after he had passed. It was a super big deal, and it was super sad. Now, that was 4 years ago. Here's why that's relevant to today. A couple weeks ago, I saw a video by Penguin Zero, Moist Critical, Charlie. He's one of the paragons of internet culture, and it's just hilarious. And I've recently started watching Penguin Zero's videos. So Penguin Zero did a video on something happening in YouTube, which is there's people called LARPers. Now, what are LARPers? LARPers are people who, like, they make their whole style they make it like a parody of another famous YouTuber. So Moist Critical being the best example. There's some guy, I think his name is something like LARP Critical, and the whole thing he does is he does Penguin Zero style videos similar to how he does them, but it's like haha funny because this isn't Penguin Zero doing a video like Penguin Zero, right? And there's a bunch of LARP tubers for a bunch of famous YouTubers you might know. I know there's Larpaplier, who is a LARPer of Markiplier, and stuff like that, right? Now, the conversation got really weird because a couple weeks ago, there was some drama that popped up because of this LARP tuber who was calling himself Techno LARP. He was LARPing as Technoblade. Now, even when Charlie did his video, he said that he's not really bothered by the LARP tubers. He thinks it's funny. He thinks it's kind of funny and goofy and silly. But this situation was weird because Technoblade was a big, beloved Minecraft creator on YouTube who passed away, and now you've got some dude making a brand off imitating that guy. Now, it brought up a very weird conversation because it's like, well, whoa, this is a lot of people felt like this was gross. I feel like it's gross. I'm gonna keep it a buck and a beam with y'all. I feel like that's a little bit weird. Also, because we're gonna spark notes through the drama because this is all past. Techno LARP makes the Techno LARP page and gets a lot of subscribers and a lot of views from it. But in Moist Critical's video, which is where I found out about all this, TechnoLarp had reached out to Technoblade's dad, who Technoblade left in charge of, like, his internet community when Technoblade passed away. And TechnoLarp kind of reached out to TechnoDad asking, hey, is it cool with you if I LARP as your son? But TechnoDad never gave him an answer. TechnoLarp continues LARPing as Technoblade anyway, and then eventually TechnoDad is like, hey, a lot of people have reached out to me about this guy. And at first he said, this is weird. I'm paraphrasing, but he said that his ultimate answer about it at first was inconclusive. TechnoLarp continues going on making the videos. Now, Moist Critical does a video where he's talking about this situation, about how weird it is, like that this guy is making himself, like fashioning himself after a content creator who's passed away. That just seems a little out of pocket and strange and uncomfortable. TechnoLarp then gets onto one of Moist Critical's live streams and is like, hey, man, you're causing a lot of problems for the LARP tubers out here, man. And Moist Critical's like, well, what are you talking about? I said I don't have a problem with other LARPers. You're weird because you're LARPing after someone who's passed away. I'll skip through a lot of the details unless y'all really want them. But to make a long story short, TechnoLarp said he was doing it all for charity, but he was also taking personal donations, which adds a layer of weird to it. And then eventually, TechnoLarp is like, TechnoDad puts a video out. TechnoDad puts out a tweet where he says, I'm giving my final answer on the TechnoLarp thing. He wants that to stop. He doesn't want anyone else to LARP as his son, and he wants the TechnoLarper that's doing it right now to stop as well. So then TechnoLarp puts a video out saying, well, guys, TechnoDad said he wants me to stop, so I'm going to respect his wishes, and I'm going to stop. Now, can I hate for a second? If we can sip a little bit of that haterade, let's sip a little bit of that haterade. I actually do not like that response because he, in a way, and if you look it up, you guys will see it. If I really master my YouTubeicity and I can like put these clips in there, which is what I should do as a real YouTuber, he puts out this whole video. But what made it weird to me, to give y'all the spark notes, is he is still doing this weird thing where he is, maybe unintentionally, but either way, he's still making it like TechnoDad's fault that he had to stop. And what makes that shady to me is that you make him the bad guy for stopping everybody from getting the ice cream that they liked. Because there was a lot of people who liked Technoblade before he passed, who are now watching TechnoLarp to kind of get that fix. That is where I want to take that conversation. Last thing I'll say, because I'm thinking about it right now, last thing that I noticed about TechnoLarp, he was kind of saying, a lot of people were mad at him and this and that and this and that. I actually said before he dropped his video where he finally was like going to stop, that I knew what he was going to do. He was going to slingshot the fan base that he made as TechnoLarp into whatever it was going to be next. Right, whatever his next project was going to be, he was going to slingshot that fan base into his next thing. And if you ask me, if him making money off imitating Technoblade is weird, that kind of feels weird too, because you still got, even when he goes, all right, guys, I'm going to stop being TechnoLarp, he's saying it to a room full of hundreds of thousands of people who are following him because he was playing this other person. And that, to me in itself, is gross. I want to know what y'all think. I think that's kind of nasty. But here's the thing that, this is the last thing I'll say about it, the TechnoLarp thing, because, I wish I had said, I wanted to actually reach out and say this to him, but it's like, the issue to me is at a certain point, he kept trying to leave here with something. I'm from round the way. I'm leaving here with something. And that's what makes him shady. He said he was TechnoLarping for donations, but he also was letting people donate to him if they wanted to. That's a little bit shady because you're wearing somebody else's skin. And then now that the techno LARPing is ending, he's not nuking the channel that he started and then starting his own YouTube journey on his own somewhere else. He's turning the fan base and the channel that he got from techno LARPing into whatever his next project's going to be. That to me is still, you're leaving here with something, right? It's like, well, you guys are right. I guess it is gross that I, build it, that I play as this other person. But now that I got all this stuff, now I'm going to switch brands. And to me, I was like, man, the issue here is that you keep trying to leave with something. Respectfully, just clean your hands and go, hey, it was fun. I'm going to let this go and I'm going to start something new. But that's incredibly difficult. And no, I doubt that anyone's really going to make that decision. With how hard it is to get big on the internet, again, I understand it, but I think it is shady. And I think, to me, this is the deeper angle. There is a dangerous level of a lack of respect for artists. Here's what I'm a cut. This is what I wanted to get to. When we're talking about the hey, what's up, people? I see you guys hopping into here. I see we got some people hopping into my live. Thank you. Right, I'm yapping it. I can't see who's in here. My phone won't show me. Anyway, excuse me. Goodness gracious. Let me holler at y'all real quick, because this is what I wanted to. This is what I kind of wanted to yap about. The strange thing to me, Moist Critical, when he talks about LARPers, he says it's not really that big of a deal, and that he kind of thinks that the LARPing trend is funny, especially because they're LARPing people that are, still alive and people that still exist. I actually think that the LARP tuber trend is actually probably potentially really dangerous. And I think it might actually be maybe one of the worst things to happen to internet creators probably ever. Reason being, when you look at these YouTubers, especially the ones that got big, what made them special? It was them. Their unique perspective on the world, their unique style of content, of humor, of editing, and the vibe and the brand that they built. That's what made them special. That's what makes YouTube special. It's the you. You are what makes YouTube special. That's also what makes it so important in the world where you're like everywhere else in media, you're fighting with, you got to have the right record label and the right talent agency, and you got to have the right connections in order for anyone to see you. That's what made YouTube special, was the fact that if you were willing to be authentic and do the work and have fun with this stuff, you could end up big like these YouTubers, like the ones who have people LARPing off of them. The reason why I think the LARP tube trend is actually really dangerous is because if you wanted Moist Critical style content, you went to Moist Critical to get it, right? You would go to him to get that style from him that you like. If you liked Mr. Beast videos, you'd go to Mr. Beast's videos, which meant he got the attention, he got the views, he got the ad revenue. Mr. Beast is probably a bad example because a lot of people have already been biting off his flow. And in fact, I would like to... Mr. Beast is a good example. Well, Mr. Beast as an example, he's not a good example because people will bite off his style, but not his flow. They'll bite off of his content. $1 million hotel versus a $1 hotel. Everyone will do that, but they're not biting off. They're biting off of the content ideas. They're not biting off of his vibe the way these LARP tubers are. The reason I think the LARP tubers is a really dangerous trend, and potentially it could be a nuclear problem, is because, and Technoblade and Technolarp make for the perfect example of this. When Technoblade passed away, you couldn't get any more Technoblade. That's understandable. He passed away. He's not alive anymore. So, you love his stuff. You might go watch his old videos again, but we all understand that that's it. You know, he made as many videos as he was able to, and there is inherently a respect for the artist in that. When he passed away, his style did too. Right? Now, someone puts on the outfit to look like him. Now, Technolarp had a similar skin that Technoblade would wear. Technoblade would wear a golden crown, but Technolarp would wear a silver to be like, hey, I'm not him, but you're acting just like him, and you're literally forming your content in this person's style specifically because it is his style. Why is that so dangerous for artists? It's because now, if you want some Technoblade, you don't have to go to Technoblade to get it. You also don't even have to respect the fact that Technoblade has passed away to get it. You can just go to the other dude that is now selling his stuff. When we remember that what makes YouTube so important, what makes YouTube so special, is that uniqueness of the artist and is the you in the YouTube. But now there are people who literally will just make your stuff. Moist Critical has a style to his stuff, and there's a dude that now that LARPs as him. To me, that's funny if it's like a one-time bit. But if you're building a brand on it, I think there is this inherent disrespect for that artist, because now you don't have to go to Moist Critical to get Moist Critical style content. You can go to this other dude that's selling it. What it does is it takes the uniqueness of internet artists and it turns us into cheeseburgers. You can get a cheeseburger at any restaurant you go to pretty much. There are chicken restaurants that have a burger on the menu. Now, not every burger is going to be as good as the burger that's down the street at the restaurant in your local place, right? But if you wanted a cheeseburger, you don't have to go to them to get a cheeseburger. You can just go down the street and get a cheeseburger from somebody else. And that's the problem, is that now, and I worry that the LARPtube thing is a Pandora's box, because you might not be able to shut it. Now people realize there's a bag in that. And if people chase that LARPtube bag, they're now turning those artists that they're ripping off their styles. I'll say this, I mean no disrespect to LARPtubers. However, I think that in order for us to keep it a buck and a bean and to protect art, we have to be able to have this discussion and think about this stuff in that real, authentic, honest, harsh way. Because this is what's happening. Even when your LARPtubers are saying that they're doing it out of respect for that artist, what I think best case scenario is they don't realize what they're doing to the market. And what I think they're doing to the market is they are turning internet artists into cheeseburgers. Now you do not have to go to Game Theory to get Game Theory videos. You just go to the Diet Game Theory place. And let's remember, one of the things that sucks about art is that we always care more about the thing we make than our audience does. And I think a lot of people are going to push back on that, because a lot of art has saved people from hurting themselves and hurting other people. The point I'm making is, this is another thing I think is a really important aspect to keep in mind. And I thought about this last week. There is a difference between a customer and a fan, right? And let's say you had 100 viewers. Let's say you had a YouTube channel with 100 subscribers. This is not real math, but stick with me here because it's the concept I'm trying to convey. Let's say you had a YouTube channel with 100 subscribers. I would probably say, in theory, 80%, Well, okay, let's say you had a YouTube channel with 100 subscribers, and let's say in theory that it was like 70 of those people are customers, which means they like your videos and they like your videos and they enjoy watching them, but they like watching you on YouTube, right? They like what you make. And then 30 of those people would be fans, where those people love you and what you do and will follow you wherever you go. If you make a TikTok, they're going to hop on your TikTok. If you make if you go to a different platform, they're going to also follow you to that platform. And as a comedian, you see that specifically because you'll have a lot of people that might follow you online, but that you can't sell out a place because you got internet customers, which is different than internet fans. I don't know if anyone else has made that distinction before. Just stick with me here because I'm making this point. When we consider the fact that there's a difference between customers and fans, a fan wouldn't do the LARP tuber thing. A fan would not go get their Technoblade content from another dude that's making it because they appreciate and respect the artist enough that they want it from the real deal, right? They want it from the real deal. And in theory, ideally, those fans would respect the legacy of Technoblade enough that they wouldn't just go to the next guy who did it. Like, to me, one thing that grossed me out about the Technoblade thing is how much it wasn't an open and shut case. Like, there were a lot of people who kind of couldn't tell, is this gross or not? And that, to me, is like the first red flag. That means that many people didn't really feel like respecting the legacy of this person who passed away was more important than them wanting to get that content that they want. Because to me, I sort of feel like if you keep it a buck and a bean, if you go bar for bar, band for band, under most circumstances, that is gross. Even if you do it, that is gross. You know, and by that I mean LARPing as a person who passed away and building a huge fan base off of it. Right. The dude, Techno LARP, even did a stream playing with some of Technoblade's friends. And a lot of people, Moist Critical felt like it in his video as well, a lot of people felt like that's a weird step too far. Because that's not just honoring that person's legacy, that is wearing their skin as them around their friends. And to me, there's a lot of people who are saying it too, it's like it's weird that Technoblade's friend Skeppy even did that. Which again, I think speaks to like, there's a level of just disrespect for that artist that happens with you even being open to doing that. I also think it's tough because this is one of those discussions where by talking about it, you make it a bigger deal than it is, but it's also not important. You know what I mean? It is something we got to talk about, but me even saying that might make it sound like I'm saying we got to, Lisa Nalgaib, we got to have the worm run through that dude's house. I'm not even saying that, right? What I am saying is, if we take a minute to really think about this and let's, getting into the deeper weeds on it, the thing I think about is what does this LARP trend do to art, period? And here's another one of the dark things I thought about. Again, I'm just yapping up here. But I thought about, what's really sick to me? YouTube probably loves this LARP tube trend. Because now, right, let's go back to techno. Let's take Moist Critical, for example. Moist Critical has several million followers. So YouTube is getting however much ad revenue they get from Moist Critical being Moist Critical and getting that attention he gets as Moist Critical. But now someone else is also doing Moist Critical, which is a proven method for making money. What Moist Critical does is a proven method for making money, and it's riding off the fact that someone who's LARPing as Moist Critical is getting the attention not only because they're doing his style, but also in relation to the fact that it's him. So now YouTube, think about it this way, YouTube is now making double their money in theory. Let's say, because, someone LARPing as Moist Critical isn't going to be as big as him, and especially not yet. So let's say in theory, they're now making 1.5 times on what Moist Critical does. So YouTube is probably going to love the LARPTube trend on the business end because it's going to bring them more money. Double the people doing, right, a proven method for making videos based off of and making it adjacent to an already successful and beloved brand. The nastiest version of that, and to me the perfect encapsulation of that problem, is Technoblade. Think about it this way. I don't have the numbers, but stick with me on the concept here. Think about all the money that YouTube made from Technoblade and his videos, right, before he passed. Technoblade was a massive YouTuber with a massive fan base. And YouTube, remember, just in theory, YouTube is making mad money off all the videos he's making and all the ad revenue that his videos are making, and especially because he was doing Minecraft content, he's bringing in a massively young audience because they like Minecraft into YouTube because they're watching his videos, and then Technoblade passes away. Yeah, he's got his videos that are still up. Yeah, people probably go back and watch those again. But bar for bar, band for band, the Technoblade money stops. Once he passes away, it stops. They don't make the increased amount of money that they make on him, right? He's not making any more videos. Technoblade has passed away about 4 years ago at this point. Then, 4 years later, some other guy shows up and is doing the Technoblade brand. YouTube is now making their Technoblade money again. So that's what makes it scary to me. And I'm going to try to figure out how to word this stuff so I can land this plane and edit it and post and make it all clip together nice and good, because I'm trying to think what is it that I really want to say. But anyway, the point I'm making is this. It's like, this bleeds into another topic that I really want to get into, and I'll probably get into another time, about how I actually think that the only defense the human race has against AI I think that the only defense that humans have against AI making us obsolete is artists. I think that artists might be the only people that are immunized to the false allure of AI and its perceived usefulness enough to be like, this is gross and it needs to stop. And I also realize that has a big part of why I feel the way I do about the LARPTube thing. I do stand-up. Stand-up comedy is an art form that uniquely demands originality. If you do music, you can play covers of everyone's favorite artists. If you're a singer, you can cover everyone's favorite Michael Jackson song. If you're a dancer, you can dance to everyone's favorite Earth, Wind, and Fire songs, stuff like that. Dancing is different. But music is the perfect example. Music, you can have a cover. You can do a cover of already famous, already successful, already beloved songs. But stand-up comedy is an art form that demands, simply in its format, in what it is, it demands that you bring original stuff. You can't go up on stage and do someone else's jokes. If anybody finds out that you're stealing people's jokes, you get cooked and made a fool out of. And I think that's really important for comedy because it's the only art form that demands that. It's the one art form where you have to do you, right? There's people who buy jokes from people. There's people who steal. That's a different issue. And all that is wrong and bad. They shouldn't be doing that. When we look at the art form functioning as it should be, originality is paramount to the art form of comedy. This is an excuse. This is cope, but that's also why it's hard for me to stay consistent making internet skits and stuff, because ever since TikTok, the internet culture is that you do a trend that everyone else is doing your way, and it's even you literally just do the exact same thing that everyone else did. Right now, it's the peanut butter thing where people are laid out in the floor with peanut butter and they have their AI going, you know what, that's actually correct. But peanut butter does have peanuts in it. And blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. You know, whatever. That's how the bit is. And the person's laid out on the floor. It's a funny bit, but as a comic, it's actually really gross to me to see 18 people doing that exact same bit with the exact same joke and the exact same punchline is weird to me. I go, ew. Okay, someone else already did it. And for me and my comedy brain, that's tough. Like, I'd do that, but someone else already did it. And I feel in my head it's kind of messed up to take someone's bit, especially one like that, which is really, really funny. But this also speaks to what I think makes TikTok one of the worst things to happen to internet culture. Not only because it's getting people addicted and stuff like that, but as an artist, I think TikTok's really dangerous because it has popularized separating the artist from the art. There are trends that go viral that nobody knows who started. The biggest one I think about is the fa. When that sound hit, it had been months of me hearing that sound everywhere and in everything before I found the guy who made that sound. As an artist, that's weird because, wait a minute. What's happening here, right, is, I'm about to sound like a communist, right? But what capitalism has done, by the way, I see that you're in my chat, Dream. I'm going to say a little something to you. Don't leave. I see that you're there. Because I just happened to look down. What happens there is now people are getting the value, right, of someone's creativity with a complete separation between the art that was made and the person that made the art. Now that person isn't really getting any of the recognition and the trickle down, benefits of creating something that affects internet culture. Another one that I thought about personally was that dude that made that. He made that remix to one of Kendrick's songs, and it goes, "I am a nigga who's probably gonna nigga again. Lord forgive me." That was hilarious, and that was all over the internet for months. And then I saw that dude drop a video where he said, "Guys, that was my song. Like, I made that sound." And nobody knows that it was the guy is saying that he made the sound and nobody knows it was him. As an artist, specifically as a comedian, I see that as a huge canary in the coal mine style problem, right? Like, that's actually really bad that someone can make a sound or someone can start an internet trend that affects culture the way that stuff has. You probably haven't gone a day watching a video that didn't have the fa sound in it since the fa dropped. Fa might be the biggest thing that happened to internet skits and internet culture since the fa. And I found out who made the fa because he did a video, same thing, where he was saying, "Guys, I'm the dude who made that sound," and he had to prove it. He had to go to the video, I think it was one of his live streams or whatever, where he first made that sound. That to me is canary in the coal mine style problem, because what do you mean people are making art? And they're not just making art. They're making art that is valuable to people, that's touching people, that people are really liking all around the internet, and people are completely separated from the person who made it. That's incredibly dangerous. Imagine making the hottest song of the summer and you can't pay your bills because no one knows you made the song. Because once you made the song, it gets grabbed, and people use it in their skits and all this stuff. They use it in these trends and all that stuff. So the song gets massive. And even more with YouTube is the fact that YouTube has sped up and slowed down versions of songs that blow up bigger than the actual original song. So now what you've got is someone makes a song that affects the internet culture, and nobody knows who made it. Nobody even knows, like, who made it. And in a lot of cases, people debate who made it. So when someone does come out and go, hey guys, that was my song, people will go, nuh-uh. I'm sorry I'm getting sidetracked, but the big issue there is, because it just hit me, that sort of idea where we're kind of instinctually separated from the source of the creativity that we're enjoying is actually setting us up on the path to allow AI to destroy all art. Because we already are getting used to, we already are. I don't want to seem so doomer, but if we keep it a buck and a bean, people are already like comfortable. People are already comfortable listening to a song and without connecting that song to the artist, without that song that they like connecting them to the artist, without it taking them any deeper. Which means, and here we go, we connecting it back to the LARP tube problem. Why is the LARP tuber problem a bigger issue than I think we're treating it as? It's because if someone's willing to go to, if someone who likes Technoblade is willing to go to Techno LARP to get their fix, they will be willing to let an AI make their cheeseburger because they don't care about the person making the burger and the way they make the burger. That now means all artists are in grave danger of legitimately being replaced by AI because our audiences are being trained to not really care. They're being trained to not care about who's making the art or where the art is coming from. They just like the way the art makes them feel and the vibe that it gives. It sounds really not dangerous. And this is, to me, it's part of the scary part is maybe the only reason I can see that is because I'm an artist. Maybe it's the only reason that I go, guys, this is actually really bad. If you're able to love a song and have no idea who made it, that's actually incredibly dangerous because that means somebody can come in and take that artist and just make stuff that feels like that, and you'll go, cool. Whoa. That's way more dangerous than we think it is. To me, maybe it's kind of like how dudes will be like, yeah, they're a player and stuff. They're a player and they mistreat women until they have a daughter. Now they're like, I was a player back in the day. Oh, I don't want my girl to be with no man that was like me. And it's like, well, where was your empathy for you to not be cool with that off rip? You know, the way you was treating people was wrong, but now that it's connected to you, now you notice. I feel like a flip version of that problem is what's happening between artists, customers, right? The artists, the audience, and AI. Ooh, that was the way to put it because it had 3 A's. That's what I was looking for. The artists, the audience, and AI. The audience is separated from the work that it takes to make the art that changes their life. And so, especially when you divide audience into customers and fans, right? Customers just like the stuff you make. They, fans like you, and they're deeper into it. So if you break the audience into customers and fans, your fans would go, hell no. I'm not gonna go watch somebody else do your style of video. I love you because you make your style of video, and I fell in love with your style of video because it's you. It's not the same if someone else makes it. Customers are gonna go, look, man, I just kind of want somebody to play. I want somebody to put on that style of video while I'm driving to work. I don't really care that deep, and that's where the world falls apart because not enough people care that deep. We're gonna check the chats. And then, because I think I didn't really land the plane on the techno blade thing. Although I did, y'all see, I weaved it. I weaved it together right there at the end there. But let's see. Sup, hey Dream, agree. I haven't heard art done by AI. It sucks. You good? Thank you. Yes, and like that's kind of the thing too. When it comes to art made by AI, we don't see it as art because we're actual artists who make the stuff. But the problem is the market isn't decided entirely by us. The market isn't decided by what we think. The market is decided by where the customers, where the audience goes. And the audience, like I was saying, to me in a very dangerous way, the audience has been trained, right? They've been engineered to not really care about the artist the way that they used to. Which that to me is the big problem that the LARP tuber trend highlights. It highlights a level of willingness from our audiences to be willing to accept us being replaced. And look, I might even try to say that a different way, because when I say us, I think it makes me sound like I'm swinging some massive meat. No, what I mean is like audiences are being engineered to be comfortable with their favorite artists being replaced. There isn't this level of respect for the artist where it's like, hey, if Technoblade passes away, I'm not going to watch somebody else do his stuff. There's also a level of acceptance that comes with that. Another example, I was watching, somebody was talking about how Markiplier used to do a particular style of video, and now as he's gotten older and he's matured, he's doing different content. So Larpiplier is doing Markiplier's old style of videos. That sounds cool, that sounds fine, because, well, he's not biting off Markiplier's style, but you got to think of it too. To me, there's also a kind of a nastiness in that, because it is training people, it's engineering the audience to not even have to accept growth or maturity, or in Technoblade's case, death. The audience doesn't even have to accept that you as an artist are going to grow and you're going to change and you're going to want to make new stuff and make different stuff. When you try to evolve, they'll just go to the dude doing your old stuff, which not only is bad for the artist because it traps more people in this bubble where they have to do the thing that works, but it also is bad for the audience because it's giving the audience this false idea of like a time capsule version of their artist. I like old Markiplier, right? Like imagine you're somebody who likes old Markiplier. You no longer have to like grow with him and develop with him and go follow his new stuff that he does. And hey, even if you didn't like his new stuff, moving on and finding another artist to go to, you can infantilize your own appetite by just going to the guy that is doing the old stuff that you like. That I feel like I can't put the words in to really highlight how actual creepy that is if you kind of extrapolate that idea to a bigger degree, right? But to me, that is really scary, really creepy, and gross and dangerous. We're training people to not accept growth, to not have to experience growth, even in their viewing appetite. Dream, if you're still in here. Yeah, okay, so real quick, I'm just running it back. I was talking about this LARP tubing trend. I don't know if you've heard about it, but pretty much what happens is like now there's like a whole bunch of people on YouTube and all. I think they're all across the internet, but for the sake of the discussion, there's people on YouTube who are making parody versions of other famous YouTubers. And there was a big drama like last week and the week before because there was this famous Minecraft There was this famous Minecraft YouTuber named Technoblade who had millions of followers, and people really loved his stuff. But he passed away like 4 years ago. He passed away, I think, after a battle with cancer. And then, and by the way, Technoblade was such a big deal that they put a reference to him in the Minecraft movie. That's how big of a deal he was on the internet, and specifically in Minecraft. What happened was this dude named Techno LARP started LARPing as him, which LARPing, live action role playing. This dude was role playing as Technoblade years after he's passed away from cancer, and it ended up becoming this really big internet like drama because he was getting a lot of viewers, a lot of subscribers, and he said he was doing it for charity, but it turns out he was also taking personal donations from it. Things that kind of make it really weird and gray. And he even, Techno LARP, reached out to Technoblade's father and asked, hey man, hey, can I do this? Technoblade's father for the longest time didn't give him an answer. Techno LARP does it anyway. He does the LARPing as this person's dead famous internet son anyway. And then it blew up into a big thing where Technoblade's father finally came out and said, hey, I don't want him doing this, and I don't want anyone doing this. And then the guy goes, well, okay, I'm going to stop. But also is now taking the fan base that he built as Techno LARP, and now he's transitioning that fan base into his next venture, his next project. If you ask me, that's nasty and gross. That is what kickstarted this conversation to me, because Moist Critical, one of the most positive people on the internet. Oh, I didn't know you knew the story. Great, I didn't know you knew the story. That actually helped me out because it allowed me to get a much quicker rundown of all that bullshit I spent maybe 15 minutes explaining up top. So now if I go back, I'm going to cut that up. I'm going to take that part where I explained it all quick, then go into the stuff I did want to say about all that. But I'm also going to, I got to remember, which is also why I'm saying this, because I'm going to try to keep it in post, and then when I'm editing this, I'm going to remember, oh yeah, then put this here. The reason I said that is because I'm also saying this. I'm also going to put this part that I'm about to say on that short version. The reason why it's important, why I think it's really important, is because Moist Critical, who's one of the like paragons of the internet, he said that he thinks that the LARP tube trend is funny, but the techno LARP situation is weird and gross because he's LARPing someone who's dead. I actually think that the LARP trend itself is dangerous. I think that the LARP tuber trend is dangerous for artists and internet artists because it is it's engineering our audiences to treat artists as cheeseburgers. Now, rather than them being unique, styled, passionate people with their own unique vibe and style, you don't have to go to them to get it. You can just go down the street and go to the guy LARPing as him, and now you can get it probably twice as fast because that person doesn't have the same level of passion that the original person has. That's what kickstarted. That's why I've been sitting on that for like a week and a half, wanting to talk about it. Probably 2 weeks. I've been wanting to stream and yap about that because I want to take all of that and cut it into a YouTube video. I think that's really important. That's where I was when you got in here. That's what I was going on about. You're right. Yeah, it is slimy. And the part that made it mad too, what made that situation really weird to me is Techno LARP says that he does this because he loved what Technoblade did. He's like, oh, Technoblade, I'm inspired by Technoblade. That's why I do all this. But to me, I do feel like there is kind of an objective point where you go, nah, big dog, this is just nasty. And if you did actually like Technoblade, I don't think you'd go through with this. I think, trying to play devil's advocate, when your brain is running on capitalism iOS, that makes sense. It makes sense in your head if you're purely running on capitalism iOS, which is the value someone generates is the most important. then it does make sense to go, well, I like Technoblade's videos, and he got a lot of attention, a lot of clout, and a lot of, he got a lot of value out of being Technoblade. I can just do his thing, and I'll get, at the very least, you'll get half of what Technoblade had, because you're going to get the people that have been missing out on that, on that flavor. But what that does is it turns artists into cheeseburgers. You don't have to go to Moist Critical to get Moist Critical style content. You just go to the LARP Critical. Just go to him. You don't have to accept growth and change in your artists. You just go to the person LARPing as him during the era that you liked. You don't even have to come to terms with a person passing away. You just go to a person that's biting off the content they made when they were alive. And to me, I see it as potentially spiraling internet culture into a very strange style of psychosis. Number one, we don't really respect the artists who make it. And also why I think that's dangerous, I said this a little bit earlier, I also think that's really dangerous because that's perfect for the AI companies. The generative AI, they want the audience to not care. The only thing, and this is why I said it again, and I'll stop here because I'm going to try to go out to an open mic, but I see you left a big message. So I'm going to read that before I go and respond to it. But I think that the only defense humans have from AI destroying us, destroying our world, and destroying culture altogether is artists. We might be the only defense that we as humans have because we care about how the art gets made, but our audience doesn't even understand how the art gets made. So that's why someone will go, oh, I want to hear a gospel song, and they'll look up, they'll listen to a gospel song made by an AI because it sounds good to them. So that means that the audience accidentally, right, will invest in the industries that are going to destroy the thing that they liked in the first place. Right? The reason we like art is because of that human connection in it. But because the audience doesn't understand that, they'll go to whoever's making it. They'll go to whoever's making it and not realize that they are degrading the very fabric of the thing that made them want to go look up a gospel song in the first place. That's what makes it so scary for artists. Y'all know I've said it in the past on other streams. It's like the audience doesn't know how the sausage gets made. That's 2/3 of why the sausage is so good. That's 2/3. Oh, that's actually funny. I didn't think about that, but they say that about hot dogs. If you knew how hot dogs were made, you wouldn't eat them. But the thing about art is art isn't gross and it isn't mystery meat. It's just that you enjoy the art, and the artist's job is to make you feel the experience that their hard work is made to make. But their hard work isn't supposed to make you learn about the types of lenses, that they use to shoot Dune. You're just supposed to enjoy the story they're telling. So, I don't know. I think it's important, especially for artists. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to make sure that we're intelligent. We have to make sure that we know what we're doing, because it's funny. I'm gonna make artists sound way too important right now, but we might be the only people that can save the planet. Because if you kind of ask anyone else, why does it matter if a gospel song is made by a person or made by a computer if it's worshiping God? And and I could understand that's kind of a weird idea. It kind of makes sense unless you're an artist and you think about that from that artist's perspective. Because I'll answer that question. What does it matter? Why does it matter if a gospel song is made by AI if it's talking about the Lord? Because when that gospel song is made by a person who God saved their life, there is a passion in that piece and a glory in that piece that an AI is not able to replicate. And the AI doesn't make that song, right? An AI doesn't make anything, right? But the person who prompts that song doesn't prompt that song because God saved their life. They prompt that song because they want to make money off of the people who God saved their life. I find it hard to believe that anybody who truly loves art is in charge of any of the companies that make the generative AI stuff. Because of that kind of artist perspective, I think that any real artist would understand the inherent danger of AI advancing the way that it is, and so they wouldn't be a part of that. Last thing I'll say about it, because I wanted to react to another video, but I didn't. There was this dude talking about he was talking about this. SZA called some music producer out saying that he owned this AI company. The dude didn't, and he was going on some podcast about AI and this and that. And if you listen to the dude's own interview, he was describing exactly why AI shouldn't be what it is. He said that he knows about DJing because when he was a kid, he used to go to record stores and he would listen to songs and he would look at who wrote them and he would go find that person and study that person and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, and AI is stealing all that work. Because of AI, that kid that you just described can't get anywhere as a DJ because somebody can just type it in. Again, that's a different discussion. Let's go to the chats because then I'm going to get out of here because I want to go do some comedy. AI can only do what already exists. It can't make new, and that's the problem we're having is if you don't have enough creativity to make something new, it has no heart. And honestly, I think that should be the barrier of entry. And I hate, I hate to use that term, but yeah, you should have to love art enough to learn how to play the instrument you want to play. I will give a little leeway with things like Fruity Loops or music producer stuff because you still got to know how to do it. You still got to understand music to make something pop on Fruity Loops. You know what I mean? And that's the thing I hate about AI. We're acting like AI can't be like a calculator. If you give somebody the strongest calculator in the world and put it on their desk, it's not going to pass their test for them. You have to know how to use the calculator in order for it to be any good. I remember all through high school, they kept saying, you're going to need a scientific calculator. Them shits was like $40. $20, $30, $40 for a scientific calculator, and I couldn't even do nothing with it. I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know what this thing. I don't know what to do with this. To this day, I don't know what to do with a scientific calculator. You know who does? The person who's done the work to understand what to do with a scientific calculator. And if I want to get better at math, I should have to learn what that stuff means. Art, I think, is the same way. The funny thing about art is anyone's open to it. Dude, come out to a poetry open mic. Learn to write poetry. Have fun with it and grow with it. You should have to learn about poetry to make poetry. And it's not in an elitist sort of sense. In fact, shoot. That's what makes art so cool. You don't have to be sexy to be a great poet. You don't have to be conventionally attractive. You don't have to be thick to be a stand-up comic. You just got to be you and do that work of learning how to share you. And the problem is that's not profitable, which is why with the LARP tuber thing, it makes my spine do the hokey pokey, thinking that YouTube benefits if people continue to LARP other artists. And YouTube would benefit a lot if more people LARPed dead YouTubers. Because you'd be able to get all that money coming back in that YouTube was making off that ad revenue. So YouTube's not going to stop the LARP. The LARP tuber. I don't know if y'all saw the caption for this video was LARPademic, which I really like. It would have been so cool if I had been more, what's the word I'm looking for? If I had been more current and was talking about that LARP tuber trend as it was happening. Because I was watching videos about it like the days it was happening. My finger was on the pulse with that. Had I actually made videos, that would have been great. I still think my point is prevalent, which is why I'm going to try to go back and cut this up so I can actually post the big yap about it. But yeah, because I still think it's prevalent even afterward. Guys, thanks. I'm actually really glad we talked about that. I didn't have that on the board, but if I did, I'd erase it. Next time I do one of these, which might be tomorrow because I'm not working, I'll say this and I'll go. Another thing I wanted to say about AI, which is on the board, is something I call it the T-Pain fallacy, and that is, oh, y'all can't see it. It don't matter. Hold on, let's see. I don't know if y'all be able to see it. If you look at the board, you're going to see something called the T-Pain fallacy. To me, that is like, that's how they're going to sell AI. Well, that's how they're currently selling it, especially when it comes to the generative stuff, right? Like, they talk about AI like it's going to help artists. It's going to help great artists do great work, but it isn't. It's going to be like auto-tune with T-Pain. I'll talk about that at the next one because that's another thing I want to talk about and then clip up and post around. I got some stuff on there about Akash Singh. He's a stand-up comedian whose wife kind of really damaged his career because she went online dogging him out, and it became a whole mess. That's another topic that I really should have been more prescient with. I should have been way more present with, and it would have been hot. But also as a comedian, I don't want to throw a comic under the bus like that, talking about that drama. But I think there's a lot we can learn from it, because I think the secret for him would have been to stick to the brand he built. And then the pink sauce lady was another thing about. I think the pink sauce lady lost the plot. And I think that's the problem with our government and our economy, and they kind of lost the plot. And I was going to connect that stuff to that. And then this, all that yapping, is because I do have a concept for a joke that I want to work on. I'm gonna just tell y'all this. Don't tell nobody this. I probably shouldn't even tell you. Actually, because yeah, that's actually a pretty good premise. And I don't think somebody would steal it, but I don't want to let nobody steal it. If you want to know, message me about what that premise is. But I really like where it can go, and I want to work on that together as a stream when we do another laboratory. All right, you guys. Thanks for stopping by. This is the laboratory, the lab for the laughs. I will see y'all later. I got some shows coming up. If you're on YouTube, you can go back to the beginning of the video to see what those are. Only reason I'm not going to yap through them again is because I'm leaving dummy late to get to this open mic I want to go to. And the open mic might not even be going on tonight. So, anyway, y'all, thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys did a big thing just by popping in, even if you popped in for just a little bit, even if you popped in because you thought I mentioned you, because that's how I title it when I'm on Instagram. I appreciate it, you guys, and I need to keep doing more of these, so they're not so awkward and so I can get better at being consistent. I love you guys. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace. I had to get the peace sign in. Peace.